Hey everyone, this is our week 3 assignment. We are going to be learning how to do our wedding invitation. I'm going to step you through a few things that I think you'll need to know for this assignment. First thing first is how to set up your document. If you'll go to the prompt under week 3 assignment, it will help step you through what you need to know, but we'll go to File, New, and then you'll select Document. Now for this assignment, you're going to be designing a typographic wedding invitation for a fictitious couple so that you can apply the techniques that you've learned to create hierarchy using only words and letters. So that's going to be the challenge. You're going to want to set your document to be 4.75 inches wide or high by 6.75 inches wide. You can reverse that depending on the orientation you choose. You can choose portrait or landscape. It's up to you. You'll only need one artboard and you'll set the color mode to CMYK. You'll want to name it and save it. We'll zoom out here. Then only type can be used, so no images or graphics or clip art. But in this case, I went ahead and designed one in blue here, and I'll show you how you can, there's a few ways you can tackle this assignment. But the first thing I wanted to go over is how to create a monogram. We went over this in our lecture, so if you want to refresh your course, please, by all means, check that out. But there's lots of different monograms that you can create, like intersecting or missing parts or interlocking, and we had a lot of fun working with this. So please watch the recording to see how this is done. For your wedding invitation, though, you'll just want to find a wedding invitation that I went to Google Images and I just found one that I thought would work for this assignment. Don't be tripped up by the type of wedding invitation you need to design. Basically, we just want to showcase the typography. You want to make sure you pick a good font. In the lecture, I gave out a website for good wedding fonts. You can download a lot from dafont.com or any free font place will be sufficient. And they have a lot of fonts you can choose from anyways. First thing I want to do is kind of get this example placed, and I'll show you how to lay this out. I'm going to go to my window drop-down menu, click on layers, and I'm going to name this one background, and I'm going to create a new layer. This one will be monogram. Create a new layer. This will be information. Okay. So for this one, it has a very nice monogram. This is a very fancy one. You can grab your type tool, depending on the font that you choose. You'll need to use the initials that are in the, depending on the couple that you pick, but I'm just going to show you real quick how to stylize one. Now I showed you how to create a monogram using the pen tool and the Pathfinder tool, but I'm just going to create a really fast one by finding a fancy font. I'm going to use Edwardian script, ITC, and I'm going to make this nice and large. And then once you have your monogram, you can go to type, create outlines. Right click, and you can ungroup it if you want to move, if you want to choose to move any letters around. You can do this. You can even kind of shrink it in. It looks like they shrunk theirs in. So you can play around with it. All right, next we're going to add the type. And I'm going to go back to my wedding invitation example, and I'm going to grab this font I downloaded. It's called Dancing Script. So I'm just going to grab that, paste it in here. Now you'll want to use the text document that is provided to you under the prompt. As a designer, it's your job to bring out the feeling of every event by the use of fonts and hierarchy and alignment and color. So I'm going to leave that up to you. I'm just going to show you how to get the basics put on the page and how to set up the document. So once you get your text placed, You can kind of position it on the page. You're going to want to make sure that you go to View and click on Smart Guides. Make sure your Smart Guides are turned on because this will help you center everything and center things within the page. And also, it'll click everything into place so you're not eyeballing it. Let's see. Guess I didn't save it. That's okay. All right. Now you need to pick two contrasting fonts. So what I'm going to do is grab a sans serif font, and I'm going to make this uppercase, and I'm going to do a bold, maybe a heavy. By going to Window, Type, Character, this will allow me to manipulate the width of the horizontal scale of my type. I'm going to bring this in quite a bit to kind of make it look a little narrow since the font that I chose is a little fat and wide. And then I'm going to give it some breathing room by adjusting the tracking. I'm going to give the names. Let's see. Okay. And then I'm just going to copy this one and pull it down. Hold down Alt Option. It will allow you to make a copy. Oops. And I can go and adjust size in just a minute. I'm just getting everything placed on the page. Again, you'll need to use the text that's provided to you in the assignment. All right, perfect. So now I've got the content down. I'm actually not in love with this font here. I think it's a little too playful for a wedding. So I'm going to go back to the Edwardian script. And I'm going to just copy this over. I'm using my eyedropper tool to copy the properties in the other font. And this allows me to make changes very quickly. The object here is I want to make sure all the font is the same size. So I'm using font size 17 just to create some uniformity. I can work with tightening everything up in just a minute. And then the next thing I'm going to need to do is fill in the information. This is an odd way to spell out the date and the time, but you'll get the point. Okay. And then they used I'm going to use a sans serif font. Again, I'm going to use the font I was using previously. We're going to pick two contrasting fonts. Don't get carried away with too many fonts. Use that one, and then I'm going to bring it, make this much smaller. Again, we talked about typography a lot in class, and the less important information is a lot smaller. So I'll make this about 8-point font. And again, you're given the information already, but I'm just kind of introducing this. Okay. So there's that information. I'm going to kind of adjust the leading a little bit. And then here I'm going to kind of tighten this up. I'm basically grouping elements that are in the similar font styles. So this is all grouped, and then this is going to have a slight gap. I can add something. You can add stylistic elements if you want, like a line to divide information. Like that. That's another stylistic way you can add some pizzazz to yours. You can also use glyphs. I talked about using glyphs. We'll put a glyph here. Type glyph. And I'll just scroll down and see if I can find something. This is interesting, the little heart. That could be a neat touch. to the invitation. I don't want to go crazy with decorative stuff, but this would be a nice addition to it. Let's see what else. And then at the very bottom, again, I'm holding down Alt-Option to copy. Okay. So now that I've got all my content, I'm going to move this down at the bottom. Right here, I can move this whole block. If I group it, Command G or Control G if you're on a PC, and I can kind of center it. So I can make my monogram the star of the show. That's another option. Or I can add some stylistic elements like I did here. Another way that you can add some elements is to grab the brush tool. And I explained how to do this in our lecture, but if you simply grab the brush tool and use the rulers, if you go to View, Show, let's see, Rulers, Show Rulers, you can just click and drag a ruler down. And this acts as a nice baseline to draw use your brush tool on. And you can draw some interesting, nice accents to your invitation. So if you grab your brush tool, I like to set the brush tool to about, make it small and hit OK. And then I'll start here. Let's see, that wasn't very good. Let's try it again. Ran out of room on my mouse pad. Anyways, you get the idea. So you'll kind of make a little design. Then once you have the design the way that you want, you can take that and grab the smooth tool, kind of click and drag around the points to kind of make things a little smoother, a little rounder. Here I want to round out this corner. I'm going to kind of trace my drawing basically. Once you get it where you want, I'll grab the brush tool again. I'll kind of just go in here. You can kind of make it look as nice as you want. Here I'm just going to try to trace the overall shape and then bring it in. I'm going to grab this anchor point and kind of adjust the angle of it. So this part will take a little bit of time to play around with and get it exactly the way you want it to look. And then you just grab the brush tool again. And then grab the smooth tool. You can kind of go over those points to kind of smooth things out. Another way that I added a flourish was I just created this little eyedrop symbol here. It's a really simple way to add something to it. If you hold down Shift, click and arch it till your anchor points go straight, and then just click once at the bottom, it will create this nice little eyedrop symbol, and you can kind of add that as a flourish. Like that. You can increase the stroke to match. Hold down Alt-Option to copy it. So you can either use it for your little filigree design here, or I just grouped them into 3 and I made this nice little symbol. And with that, you can kind of throw that in. I'm just going to make this black so you can see it. You'll want to add color, you'll want to play around with fonts, but you can kind of add something nice to your invitation We'll want this to fill the space in. So what I'll do is, once I have everything centered on the page, I can then focus on making it larger, like this. I want a good amount of white negative space between the monogram and the information. I want to center this all together. And with this monogram, I have a lot of space up top that I can even make larger. I'm going to kind of squeeze it in so I can make it bigger. Okay. And then once you have it the way that you like, you can just add color to it. You can add a background if you want, and then do some reverse text. This would look nice with the navy blue, and then if this was all white, that would be a neat way to kind of add some color or some dimension to your design. But just remember that your skill in expressing these things is your design. You're going to determine how the guests see the event and what they'll expect. Just use Google Images to find a typographic design that you'd probably want to copy or mimic, and that way you can kind of have a basic overall template that you can go by. And there's lots of different ways, lots of different styles out there, so have some fun with this. Use 2 contrasting fonts, and I can't wait to see what you turn in.